Can you drink alcohol and lose fat? Of course you can. Does it make it really, really hard? Yes, it does. In my experience, in my opinion, for myself and working now with a lot of people, it absolutely does. Can you have a strategy around it? You can. Does it make sense to do that? It sure does. Should you get help with it? I need it. I would think you do too. All right, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Brian. It is so good to see you back here again this week. I can't see you, so I hope it's so good for you to see me. I hope you are seeing me. I hope you're on YouTube. I hope you're checking out the podcast on its new channel. We're growing slowly and steadily. It's been really cool to see the growth. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. I see all the new subscribers. The cool part about YouTube is that I can see the people who subscribe. Like, I could see my subscribers grow. Actually, I can't even see my subscribers grow on Apple and Spotify. I just get downloads. So like, that's the cool part about YouTube, is that you get this feedback, you get instant feedback. You ask for somebody to help you and they actually go do it. And so I notice you, I see you, and I appreciate you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, could you just go over there real quick and check it out? Brian Panuzzo on YouTube, P-A-N-N-U-Z-Z-O. Can't miss it. You can search the Success Lift podcast as well. That's the name of the show. Welcome back. This is episode 201. We're in the 200ths now. I guess this is episode number 1 of another series of 100. And I thought I would bring up a pretty passionate and controversial topic for a lot of busy professionals, a lot of parents, a lot of people that I know, a lot of my clients. And just about everyone that I've worked with has had a relationship with this during the course of their life. And many are attempting to reduce it. Many are attempting to move away from it, move on from it. Some people can't let it go. Some people have it define their lives. Some people say, I've done this my entire life. I don't know why it's so hard for me to be healthy or lose weight or do whatever it is I want to do, get into great shape now. And that is alcohol. I want to talk to you about alcohol this week. I'm going to give you the 411, and we're going to talk specifically around weight loss and body composition, but also, desires and motivation and commitments and all these things that, alcohol can play a role in our lives affecting. And I say play a role because for a lot of us, I would imagine you're assuming that there's negative connotations to it, and there are plenty of negative outcomes when it comes to alcohol. But it's also important to remember that there are positives when it comes to alcohol. It is just a mechanism. It is a mechanism that allows us to enhance an experience. And so when my wife and I go on a date night, we absolutely enjoy having a drink together. It certainly loosens us both up, has us feeling, a little bit more bubbly, has us ask maybe some questions that we might not normally ask. It absolutely can be a positive force in your life from the perspective of allowing you maybe to connect. Now, if there are hard line in the sand, no alcohol people in the crowd right now, you're probably yelling at your phone or your car radio or wherever you're listening or watching, because you also know that it's not necessary. You do not need alcohol in order to do all of those things, ask those questions, feel more open and secure about yourself. Absolutely is not necessary. And so I hope you can see already that I am unwilling to commit to a side here, because it's important. It's important to provide context. Everyone's life is different. I certainly wouldn't tell someone who is consistently abusing a substance like alcohol that they can have just a little bit of it. I have friends, very close friends, that have had to give it up. I have seen the destruction that it can create in certain people's lives. So please do not jump to any conclusions based on some of the things that I might have just said, whether it be in the favor of your point of view or against it. Don't get defensive. Don't wall up. Don't think that everything else that I have to say, because I just said something that challenges you, and I may continue to do so over the course of the next few minutes. Please don't shut off. Be open to it, and just ask yourself, certain questions. Is it serving me? What purpose does it serve? When am I doing this? Am I avoiding certain things? Am I using it as a crutch? Am I just saying I can't have it when I actually might be able to have it? And I really just need to do some work on myself. There's been a popular movement recently, which I think is tremendously positive, in the world of like going no alcohol, of reducing your alcohol consumption. To be fair, this is something that I've been attacking in my life for the better part of the last 5 years. And it's just like everything else. It's a journey for me. It's not something that I needed to stop because it was destructive. So I wanted to just systematically reduce it because I knew that it had detrimental effects on my life, but I didn't want to just say goodbye to it. Quite frankly, I was afraid to. I'm still afraid to. I'm still afraid to tell a group of people that I don't drink or that I'm not drinking. There are still circumstances and situations in my life, if I'm being honest, that I am uncomfortable not drinking. And I still drink just because everybody else is. Now, do I have 6 or 8 drinks because everybody else is? Absolutely not. I've gotten past that point, and I now know how to handle myself. And that'll be some of the tactical things I'd like to give you towards the end of this conversation to have you apply it in your life and see if it actually works, because I'm a big application guy. I'm a big action-based guy. Don't give me theoreticals. Give me things that I can put into practice today in order to see if they work for me and see if my life improves. And so I hope to give you some of those towards the end. But what I want to do before that is just kind of like lay it all out there and have a conversation with myself, of course, but ultimately with you, to see where, you shake out on this, and to have you consider certain things. And first of all, you need some data, you need some information, because I think we often feel like we say dumb shit like it makes me sleep better, factually incorrect, like scientifically incorrect. All right. We say things like, I've been able to drink my entire life like this. I've been able to have, 5 or 6 cocktails on a Friday and a Saturday night and have it not affect my weight, and have it not affect me being able to get up in the morning, and have it not affect my food choices. It's just bullshit. It's not true. Now, maybe in your 20s, that was the case, but you ain't 20 anymore. You're 45, you're 52, you're 41, you're 37. All right. Things change, and you need to adapt. You need to adapt. All right. But primarily, this conversation will be around weight loss / fat loss, because I can't tell you how many people that I talk to, how many people that I work with that are concerned about their alcohol consumption, but are unwilling to do the hard work when it comes to reducing or removing it, and typically don't see results. And then they get frustrated because they've changed a bunch of other behavior in their life. They're walking more, they're eating better, they're, focusing on different aspects of their life, and the scale doesn't really move that much. And every time we bring up alcohol, it's like talking to, your sibling that doesn't want to communicate with you, or it's like talking to your spouse who is mad at you or whatever. And it's like all the excuses come out and all the reasons, and I can't do this and I can't do that. And it's this situation, it's that. And so I'm pretty experienced when it comes to this conversation. Number one, with myself, because I've had it and I continue to be a work in progress in terms of making attempts to reduce it in my life strategically. There are other times where strategically it makes a ton of sense for me. And I've also had it now with hundreds of clients, right? So the question is, can you drink alcohol and effectively lose fat on a consistent basis? Okay. Now, let's get the obvious out of the way, or I hope the obvious out of the way. You can do anything and lose weight. You could eat McDonald's 3 times a day and lose weight if you're in a calorie deficit, if you're not over consuming food. Is that a very hard thing to do? When you go eat fast food that's non-nutrient dense, that's maybe hyper palatable, that's low volume and high energy density? Of course it is. Of course it is. Are many people successful? Not many. Have people been successful doing that? Yes, they have. Do I have clients who drink alcohol regularly that are successful losing weight? Absolutely, I do. Do I have many clients that struggle because of it? Like I just said, Yes, I do. Do you see me all over the place here? It's not, I guess it's intentional. It's not unintentional, I was going to say. Why not just say it's intentional? It's intentional, and I'm all over the place because everyone is different. All right. Now, another fact, another unfortunate fact: alcohol is a poison. Okay. It is poison. You're not getting your antioxidants from the red wine. All right. It's not healthy to have a glass of wine a night. Now, can you have a glass of wine? I'm going to go into this whole song and dance multiple times. Can you have a glass of wine a night and be healthy? Of course you can. Is it the red wine that's making you healthy? Absolutely not. And now here is my perspective. Here is my perspective. But because of the amount of people and the amount of times I've seen this now, I've built the evidence to suggest to myself that this is a fact. Does it make it harder to lose weight? Alcohol make it harder to lose fat? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I'm going to explain why. I came across a good email from a friend of mine. His name is Mike Milner. He's a coach. He works, I think, primarily with women. He has a great podcast called Mind Over Macros. He's a good buddy of mine. I've been on his show. Can't wait to see him, actually, I think in a couple weeks. Probably by the time this drops, maybe next week. I hope to see him at an event that I believe we're both going to. Shout out to Mike. Miss you, buddy. He writes an email every day, just like I do, by the way. Go get on Mike's email list. But go check out mine. If you're not getting my emails, go to thesuccesslift.com. There's a little red button right in the middle. It says join the email list. I put a lot of attention into that. I put a lot of care and effort into that on a daily basis. It is the thing that I get the most feedback on. It is the piece of communication that I get the most feedback on. Yes, I want you to subscribe to me on YouTube. Yes, I want you to check me out on Instagram, Brian Panuzzo, on LinkedIn, Brian Panuzzo. But most importantly, I think you'll get the most value out of reading what I have to write on a daily basis. And it's not for you on a particular day, move on. Don't even open it up. If you can't get to it, don't even open it up. It's probably 2 minutes a day, a minute a day, 30 seconds a day, maybe a few minutes every once in a while of education, inspiration, motivation to hopefully have you living the life that you truly want inside and out of the office. Inside and out of the office. By the way, side note, I have so many clients recently that are hitting PRs. We call those records, personal records, PRs, personal bests. Why don't they call them PBs? Personal bests inside of the office because of the work that they're doing outside. And so a very common misconception that I find from talking to busy professionals, and a bullshit story I told myself for years, was that I don't have the time to devote to this because work and life are so crazy. What a load of shit that was. When I started to focus on my life outside the office, my life inside the office only got better. I have people who are about to sell companies. I have people doing record sales in a month. I have people who are on fire in their professional life because they're learning tools outside of the office to provide structure, discipline, and proper habits that feed their mental, physical, and relational performance, the 3 pillars of my program. And they are taking it back to the office. They are creating more time for themselves, and they are absolutely on a tear. And I love to see it. I love to see it. So go join my email list. All right. But I was reading Mike's, who writes every day, and Christ, he puts a lot of effort into it. And he wrote an email about alcohol. It actually gave me sort of the inspiration, the idea to do this. So if I'm going to reference Mike, I thought, why not just give you some of the information from his email, because it was really good. And so he lists out some facts. And so I'm just going to read, paraphrase some of them, and then kind of stretch on some of them myself. All right. So indisputable facts when it comes to alcohol. Number one, alcohol is a poison. All right. It is treated in the body as such. When alcohol is present, your body senses a threat and stops everything to get rid of the toxin. There's that T word. That means carb metabolism is paused, fat metabolism is paused, and your body pulls resources to clear the toxins and keep you alive. Sounds a little dramatic, but it's true. That is the process that your body goes through. Your body is looking to eliminate alcohol first. It's going to burn it first. So in this burning calories, burning fat, burning carbs, whatever you want to talk about, if you are consistently drinking, It will deprioritize the burning of all other things, and it will burn the alcohol first. Probably not a good idea when it comes to fat loss. You're just getting something. Now, again, can you burn the alcohol, then burn the rest of the food? Of course you can. Does it make it harder? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Fact number 2, alcohol disrupts your sleep, right? Now, I know some of you are thinking, I fall right to sleep when I drink alcohol. I bet you do. I bet you do. All right. But we're talking about sleep quality. Sleep quality. You do not get into stages of deep sleep when you drink alcohol. If you have a Whoop strap or an Aura ring or any other type of sleep tracker, do a little experiment. Okay. Drink some alcohol and take a look at your sleep quality. How is it? How is your sleep quality that night? Anytime I have 1 or 2 drinks, which is not a lot for me, for a big guy like me, I see it in my sleep score. I see it in my sleep score. Okay. The next day, if you've ever been hungover, you're going to notice that you might have cravings for certain foods. You might want to get that bacon, egg, and cheese. You might want to have those waffles or pancakes. You might be craving more carbs, the dreaded carbohydrates. You might be dreading more carbs. We used to say some dumb shit like, I need the grease to soak up the alcohol. Like complete made up science, absolute complete made up science. What was happening to me and to you is that when you don't get deep sleep, your brain is looking for a very fast source of fuel. Glucose, sugar, is that source of fuel that it's desiring when it's tired. And so you're going to wake up, if you wake up hungover, expect to have challenges with your nutrition the next day. All right? Number 3, alcohol lowers your inhibitions. We've all made some pretty stupid mistakes consuming too much alcohol. Okay? I can honestly say from personal experience, every single poor decision I've ever made, like secondary poor decision, gambling, drugs, right? Food, have all been preceded by alcohol. Okay? You don't ever call the drug dealer like sober. Just doesn't happen unless you're like planning. Okay. Long since gone for me. Planning. You make poor decisions after drinking. Your inhibitions fall. We've all made some stupid choices in our years on alcohol. Okay. And so let's just speak specifically to the food component of this. Very rarely do you eat the same quality food when you are consuming larger quantities of alcohol than when you are sober. Now, when I go out on a date night and I have a meal planned, I could eat a steak and some vegetables and have a couple glasses of wine. And that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, putting 3 or 4 drinks back, and then the appetizer plate comes out and the different things come out and you just start eating pretty aggressively. Happens to me pretty often, still does. So our food quality choices, which ultimately end up being a food quantity issue, certainly becomes a problem when we're drinking too much, right? Fact number 4, I'm gonna get a little fancy here on you. Alcohol depletes GABA and increases inflammation, the dreaded I word, inflammation. I needed to throw that around just so I can get some credibility with you. Say the word inflammation, I get your attention. I'm gonna say biohack, supplement. By the way, so ridiculous. The podcast episode I did on weight loss and what to know, what not to know, what to do, what not to do about supplements, biohacking, and like how to actually lose weight. Because I put the words biohack and supplements in the title, it's been watched like 3 times as much as any other show. It's ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous. Like when I say you guys, maybe not you, but most of you. Like you just can't help yourself with the biohacking and the supplements. Okay. And the inflammation, sugar is the devil. Inflammation is the root cause of all things bad in the world. All right. It's often why you feel sad or down the next day. It's also why the scale might move around on you. Now, here's the tricky thing about the scale. Sometimes when we drink a little bit too much, the scale actually goes down the next day because we're very dehydrated. And then the next day, right back up, right back up. So sometimes people drink a bunch and they're like, oh my God, I lost weight. Well, yeah, you lost weight. You're dehydrated as shit. All right. And the next day, the scale usually pops back up, pops back up. Okay. And your choices, like I said, the last factor, choices the next day are not good ones. They're not good ones. All right. The last fact I want to cover is alcohol is empty calories. We call it in the nutrition coaching world. Right. It doesn't contain protein. Right. It's empty. You rack up calories without any bang for the buck. And it becomes really hard if you're in a diet phase and watching and managing your calorie count to hit your protein goal, to stay within your calorie count when you're consuming 500, 600, 800 calories from alcohol in a particular day. All right. Now, I mentioned tracking. If you actually are tracking, then we get into the randomness of human behavior where we tend to maybe stop tracking once we start drinking, or we track and we just make plain old mistakes. We estimate. We're typically guilty of estimating to the downside and not to the upside. That's just human behavior. And also, whoever pours, you've heard me say this before, you might put a glass of wine in. It's very depressing. I measured what a 5-ounce glass of wine was at my house a week or so ago, and it was pretty depressing. It was about as depressing as a teaspoon of peanut butter, an actual teaspoon of peanut butter really is. So when you put your spoon in the peanut butter jar, just know you are likely taking at least double the serving size out, double the serving size. Okay. And so account for it. But most people don't because they just don't know, or it's convenient for them not to have to track that or not to know. If we don't know, what you don't know doesn't kill you. Is that a phrase? I don't even know. All right. Let's talk a little bit about like scenarios. I want to talk about scenarios. Okay. So like, can you eat and consume alcohol and be in a situation where you're under control? And of course, the answer is yes. Like at this point, it should be obvious to you. I hope that I'm fairly balanced when it comes to this. And I even lean on the side of, yeah, we don't need to take that away that much, because when you take things away from people, especially early in a relationship, it doesn't always go very well. And so I'm very hesitant to take away alcohol from a client, but we always talk about strategies to minimize it. And so can you eat high quality foods? Can you eat grilled chicken and sweet potato and broccoli and drink tequila? Of course you can. Can you eat a steak and have, a baked potato and some asparagus and drink, 3 Coors Lights? Of course you can. How often do we do that? We're usually getting wings. We're usually having sliders. We're usually ordering nachos. I mean, look at just go to a bar. Go to a bar and look at the menu at the bar, like bar food and appetizers on a menu are all usually not conducive to us maintaining or losing our weight. And so while you can eat high quality foods with alcohol, typically it doesn't happen, right? Let's just be honest about that. Typically it doesn't happen. What normally happens is you start to consume lower quality foods. You may overconsume, or a lot of people underconsume food. A lot of people don't eat the necessary nutrients that they need. Now, when you say, well, Brian, isn't that a good idea because I, don't consume a lot of calories and therefore I lose weight? Maybe. It's hard to underconsume calories chronically, though. Usually you end up flipping to the other side and going overboard and overconsuming at some point. Not drinking, not eating all night, right? And drinking your face off and then coming home and absolutely decimating your kitchen, your pantry, your refrigerator, the freezer, ordering a pizza, eating an entire pizza when you get home. Those things tend to happen because although it can reduce your hunger in the moment and allow you to not eat as much food, I've certainly done that. We've been drinking so much that we don't eat. At some point that catches up with you. And just like exercise, it's very easy to overconsume food when you are very hungry. You can't really out-train a diet when it comes to exercise. If you think that you can keep your hunger signals low for long enough and suppress it, that's the word I was looking for, because of alcohol, I think it's a matter of time before you lose that battle. Okay. So let's just review quickly. All right. Let's review quickly. You absolutely can lose fat while drinking alcohol. You can do anything. You can do anything that you put your mind to. You have agency. Remember, I'm a huge fan of agency. You choose what happens to you. The tragedy in our lives is that we take events that are outside of our control and we allow it to affect our response. And so in a moment of anxiety, in a moment of frustration, in a moment of fear, in a moment of you wanting to numb yourself, you start to drink. You have a choice. You do not have to do that. You can make another choice. Is it easy? No. Is it simple though? Yes, it is simple. It is simple, but you can decide your response, and you do not have to choose the same thing you've always chosen before in the past. And if you start to make different choices, you just may find that your results start to change as well. So, 2 moments that I know of that work really, really well for me to reduce alcohol, because I want to give you a couple of quick tools to be able to apply them and see, like, I don't want you to leave this podcast and go, whatever, dude, like another guy trying to get us to stop drinking alcohol. Whatever, bro. I hear you. I hear you. I'm not asking you to stop drinking alcohol on, a vacation with your wife. I may be just asking you to stop drinking at 10 a.m. on vacation with your wife or your husband. Maybe can we stretch it through lunch and have that first cocktail at happy hour or at 3 p.m. at the pool? Do you really have to lay in the sun at 10:30 a.m. and start drinking? Your decisions after that, you're not going to get the big ass salad. You're going to get the cheeseburger and the onion rings at the pool. And then you're going to take a nap. And then you're not going to take a walk. And then you're going to start drinking again because you're going to feel like shit when you wake up. And that's a spiral and a cycle that you go down. If you just waited until 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. after a nice walk and you're hanging out and it's cooling down a little bit and it's happy hour and you're going to have a couple drinks, then you're going to go up to the room and you're going to get busy with your spouse. Then you're both going to jump in the shower. Then you're going to go to dinner. Like, that sounds like a nice vacay to me. Sounds like a nice vacay to me. Right? So 2 moments. Got off on a tangent there. I was thinking about laying at the pool with my wife. 2 moments that I find most common for people to at least consider reducing alcohol in their life. The first one, all right, is actually, before I do that, I was just talking about the vacation. I'm a big fan of helping my clients strategize before a trip. I have a resource that everyone has access to in my executive program and my one-on-one coaching program. I call it the Business Traveler Blueprint. And it doesn't just revolve around alcohol, but it revolves around effectively structuring your trip so that you can maximize results for you. And when I say results, I mean whatever results you want. That could be, I want to maximize connection and I want to close this deal and I want to nurture this relationship. And that means we're going to stay out till 2 a.m, bellying up to the bar. And I just got to do this thing with this guy or this girl. All right. Other times that might be, I want to not feel like I got hit by a truck when I got home. Okay. We need to know the short-term outcome to then reverse engineer the actions that you're going to take. But it's a list of principles and resources and ideas for people, where, like, all the way from looking at the restaurant menus to order, to packing your protein and your greens, to getting an early workout in and choosing the hotel that might have a better gym. And where am I going to take my walks? And if not, here's a short hotel workout. And here's where I go to, you can get Starbucks egg cups and a big ass salad for lunch and blah, 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 blah. All right. But the first thing that I ask them to do is to consider, what is the purpose of the trip? What is the purpose? Oftentimes that very simple but deeper question will allow you to start to think about why you're really going. How many times have we been on a business trip and it's Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. and people are just throwing them back in the bar? And it's like, Tuesday? Like just because you're in a hotel means that you're going to abandon all of the protocols that you have attempted to live your life by for however long a time. And most of that time for people is 0, which is why they do it. It's like you get slightly out of your routine and you allow yourself to get disrupted. So what is the purpose of the trip? That simple question can drive a lot of behavior for yourself. If the purpose of the trip is to, execute something from a work perspective, from a black and white perspective, alcohol may not be needed. Now, that might mean for you, like, oh, dude, I don't know, alcohol's not gonna be needed. This person drinks. All right, cool. That person drinks. Awesome. What could you do? I'll give you some hacks. But you got to consider what the purpose is. When you do that, your attention, your energy is going to be focused on what outcome do you want? I want to close this deal. I want to nurture the relationship. I want to come home and not feel like a bag of freaking hammers. Okay. That's a certain set of actions that we need to take in order to achieve that result. We can craft that. We can sketch that out for you. And you just have to go take action. So, very important question that we often don't think about. And we just default to patterns of behavior. And your patterns of behavior do not care what you say that you maybe we're going to try to get better at doing. Soft ass language. Patterns of behavior, the old you doesn't care. Does not care. You have to insert the new you in. You have to insert a new reason why. So what is the purpose is very important. Very, very important. After that, you can apply some of these like hacks, okay? Since we've been talking about a business trip or a vacation, let's just stay on that real quick, all right? You could always get to a bar or a restaurant a little early and slide the bartender or the waiter $20, $50, $100. I don't know what's going to cost you. And they could bring you a club soda and vodka with lemon every time you order a vodka club soda, but it might just be club soda. All right. You could drink a shit ton of water in between and during the meal. You could have a protein shake before you walk into the restaurant so you're not ravenous and hungry and start to eat a ton of shit. You could put your hand over the wine glass when the waiter comes around and refills every time everyone's down to a half a wine glass. You ever notice that? You're down about a half and they come and they top you off. So no top offs. Just tell the waiter, no top offs. All right, no top offs. I'll tell you when my wine glass is done, please fill it up. Or tell the waiter, I'm going to have 1 glass of wine tonight, so please do not refill it. Right, little things like that. When you're home, you can do things like try a non-alcoholic beer. Don't hang up on me. Don't quit. Don't quit on me yet. You've stuck around this long. Don't quit yet. You try a non-alcoholic beer. Saturday afternoon, games on. Tuesday night, having tacos. Those are 2 instances where I might want to crack a cold beer. So I use a non-alcoholic version, becoming very popular in the marketplace. Very, very popular. And the last one that might be a little hard for you is you could just make a choice on a Friday night when you're home and you don't have anything going on to just not drink because you value the outcome so much. You've created a 2.0 version of yourself that you want to become. And that version of you doesn't drink for no reason. Every single person that I ever begin working with typically has at least 6 non-experiential, completely wasted drinks per week. And so we attack those first because I'm not going to tell you to not drink on your business trip. I'm not going to tell you to not drink playing golf with your buddies. I'm not going to tell you to not drink on your date night with your spouse. But I will suggest that you don't need to have 2 beers when you come home on Tuesday. I will suggest that you haven't earned happy hour at 5 p.m. on Friday just because it's Friday. Fucking congratulations. It's Friday. Go do something productive. Go home and be with your family. Actually have tools to compartmentalize work from home. Don't bring that shit home. All right. So can you drink alcohol and lose fat? Of course you can. Does it make it really, really hard? Yes, it does. In my experience, in my opinion, for myself and working now with a lot of people, it absolutely does. Can you have a strategy around it? You can. Does it make sense to do that? It sure does. Should you get help with it? I need it. I would think you do too. Is it probably holding you back in ways that you haven't considered? I believe it has. I believe it is. I believe if you just gave it a shot to reduce it in your life, that you would find a pretty amazing correlation between the success and your actions. Am I asking you to get rid of it and never drink again? And am I on a soapbox telling you that it's poison and that you're a loser because you can't live your life without it? No, I'm not. There are people out there doing that. I don't love it. I don't love it. You could pull your wagon around on Halloween and have a drink while your kids trick or treat. But like, is it the first thing you should think about doing? Probably not. Could you survive without it? You could. Could you survive without drinking beers during your kids' sporting games on the weekend? Yeah, you could. The only way to know that is to actually do it. You'll wake up tomorrow, you'll be alive. You will not have died. You might even feel a little bit better too. I hope this one helped you guys out. If you have questions on this stuff, I have a lot of personal experience for myself and working with people. I'd be happy to answer questions that you have. You can send them to me at brian@thesuccesslift.com. If this provided you some value, if you know somebody that could benefit from hearing this, I would really appreciate it if you shared it with them. Hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you back here next week.